Good morning. We're trying this out for the first time via Facebook Live. We're pretty excited about it. But this is our orientation to the profession, MACPA's frequently asked questions that we get from students. So hopefully we'll answer all your questions about becoming a CPA in Maryland today. I'm Rebecca Brown. I am forgot to tell you, slideshare.net/RJBrownCPA. It's where you can find this slide deck. I'll be posting it right after, just so I can add some questions if we get some live ones. So that's where you can find this. I'm Rebecca Brown. I'm a CPA. I am the manager of membership development and engagement at the Maryland Association of CPAs. And I have with me our CEO, Tom Hood. Tom, do you want to introduce yourself a little bit?
Sure. I'm Tom Hood, CEO of the Maryland Association of CPAs. I'm also a CPA. And we're really excited about having this first live Facebook broadcast. So welcome to all you accounting students out there, or mentors to accounting students that might have some questions answered, so you can encourage people to become CPAs.
Awesome. And we will be recording this too, so if you can only stay for a couple minutes, or you, after watching, think, oh man, somebody should have really watched this, we will be posting a recording that you can watch anytime. So we're going to just jump right in. We're going to talk about, what is the CPA, and Tom's going to go through some of this stuff for us.
So, CPAs are certified public accountants, and what a lot of people don't know is CPAs actually are in all kinds of careers and all over the place. So my career, I've always was in what we call business and industry. So I started out in a corporation. I was in a bank finance company. Then I moved on to architecture, construction. So as up to like CFO of a construction company, and then later on ended up as the CEO of a nonprofit, the association. So CPAs can have that kind of career track, or you can have the traditional career track as a public accountant. You could be an auditor or tax or consulting, and you could be working for yourself as a sole practitioner or in one of the big four, or hundreds of middle-sized, regional, national level CPA firms all over the place. Internal audit is another area that we see in the big public company arena. Obviously CFOs, controllers in those areas as well. So I think it's a really great profession to be able to kind of do what you want to do, be affiliated with the kinds of industries that you like, right, from that standpoint.
And we're seeing more and more CFO or CPA types move into that CEO role, right? So taking over whole organizations based on that financial knowledge that is really the backbone of how business works.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many companies that we've known recently that CFOs who came up through the accounting side of the business are now CEOs. In fact, I was just at a conference last week at Oracle. Oracle is one of the top global software companies in the world, and their new CEO, Safra Katz, co-CEO, she came up through the finance track, as did their past chairman. Sage Accounting has a Maryland native who was their CFO and became their CEO, Mark Scheidt. So it's kind of interesting seeing more and more of that stuff happening.
That's great. So I'm going to just move on and talk about why the CPA is called a profession, not just a job title.
So that's the other part. A lot of young people are asking, like, what do I need to get a certificate? What's this thing? So a profession is actually a little bit more distinct than a certificate. A profession is a body of knowledge, so that's the accounting, all that discipline you learn in school, all the regulations, standards, those kinds of things. And it has a code of conduct or code of ethics around it, which stems from a public interest. So for instance, accounting in the United States kind of came at the beginning of the industrial era in the United States, 1900s, and that's when MACPA was founded, as a matter of fact. But it was based on the notion that as companies and organizations got bigger, they had complex financial information, and many of them had to get investors, whether it be banks, finance companies, or individuals through stock. And then that created this idea that if those guys didn't uphold the highest quality and standards, you could actually mess up the whole public. And we've seen recent examples that, The Big Short, if you guys have seen that movie, that was when Wall Street gets out of hand, or before that, Sarbanes-Oxley during the Enron, WorldCom crisis, and then all the way back to 1933, which is when the market crashed and this whole discipline of auditing became big. So public interest is the second one. I talked about the code of conduct, which relates to that. Then the other one, actually, there's kind of a fourth one you could argue, is that they are self-monitored, self-governed. Now, our profession is less self-governed than it used to be because of some of those big scandals from the federal side. So, but anyhow, that's what's cool about a profession from a certificate or a, other credential.
You're really going into a profession and getting that community right away just by having those 3 letters after your name.
Yep, exactly.
So why should somebody become a CPA? What are the benefits, the career opportunities, really?
I like to say, I'll start with the one that I love right now, which is who wants to be a millionaire? So the other research we have is that a CPA career over their lifetime will make $1 million more than a non-CPA. So if you're going to go through the rigors of accounting in college and get through that notion, to get that CPA means $1 million over your lifetime. Yeah, it's a lot of work. Yeah, it's no question, it's some sacrifice, but $1 million could be worth it. Now the rest of it, just an accounting CPA career, I mean, there's all kinds of stuff that we're seeing, right? It's in the top 10 highest paying in-demand jobs, and it's also one of the most happy jobs, and they argue it's because the pay, the stress levels, and yeah, there are some high stress levels, but overall, compared to some other fields, not as much. And the quality of life. Most of all CPA firms and many others, it's got a lot of mobile, flexibility, things that can actually be built into it from that standpoint. So those are a couple. It's 6 of the top 25 jobs in America. I think in one of the U.S. News and World Report were all related to accounting and finance, whether it's auditor or finance or controller, those kind of things. Top 5 job in the STEM area, top 5 job in businesses, and our brand, this is kind of cool, right? The CPA brand on the street is as recognizable as Apple's or Disney's. So to the average person. So when you say CPA, the public knows it and more importantly, holds it in high regard. That's the trust part. So, yeah.
Yeah, and we have some research from AICPA that 88% of key decision makers say CPAs are valuable to their organizations, and 84% say that they would be more confident in a job that was performed by a CPA. So definitely speaks highly of the CPA brand and what it means and can mean to your career to have that. So really, where can you become a CPA? And the easy answer is anywhere. Everything that makes money has to track it somehow, right? And have the knowledge of financial statements and taxes and consulting, all of those different things. So this is just a spread of different companies, whether large Big Four like Deloitte, or we have the green abacus logo there. That's our board member, Barrett Young, his company. He does pretty much a sole practitioner from himself. He works specifically with tech startup companies. Really cool, has an interest in an area and is able to take his passion for that area and financial knowledge and make a career out of it, which is really awesome.
And he would say he doesn't do any taxes, and and so I think it was last year around this time of year, he was going snowboarding. We were going to do a visit up in Western Maryland to a college, and Barrett joined us, and so that's, again, you can make a lifestyle around this profession in just about any way you want to work, which is really kind of cool. I got to tell one quick story. A good friend, one of our members on the Eastern Shore, Denise West, CFO of South Moon Under, and her initial talk about that was she was always fascinated and interested in retail and women's clothing and fashion, and so that company gave her the ability to marry her discipline of accounting with that great industry. So just like Major League Baseball, there's a CFO of the Baltimore Orioles and there's a CFO of the Baltimore Ravens, and so whatever your favorite kind of thing is, you could apply accounting to it.
Yeah, that's my favorite thing about it as well, that you can really take interest areas and passions, whether it's a nonprofit you're passionate about, or a cause, or a brand, or a sports, and really marry that with the knowledge and the financial knowledge that you can be a part of that organization and be an really important part of that organization's success.
Isn't that where you started? Didn't you want to be in the sports arena?
That's what originally got me into accounting, yes. I wanted to work for the NFL. And I still love football a lot, but love what I'm doing now, too. So I'm not sure if I'll go that route.
You went from football players to CPAs.
Yes.
That's okay. We're glad that you're doing that.
That's okay. Yeah,
and it's fun.
I had a great time doing it. Got to study both sports management and accounting in college, so have a degree in both, and pretty interesting path that I've had. And you know, you can work from anywhere. There's that laptop. You know, you can be like Barrett, who has more of a home office, but then as he travels, can work anywhere. And then really, all over the world, CPAs are needed as the world becomes more global. And business is more global, and you really can, if you have an interest in traveling, another great career path to take. I know the bigger the organization, probably the more international opportunities you would have, but really cool profession to get started in and kind of see a variety of different things and marry your expertise with your passion.
Well, and you have up there, it's worth pointing out on the slides, there's the Department of Treasury, American Cancer Society, so nonprofits, government,
Yep.
every type of business or entity has a core accounting thing that needs to be done, and there are CPAs doing all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
In fact, the reason I became a CPA is I wanted to get in the FBI, so I took accounting because that's one of the best ways to get in the FBI because they track drug traffickers and bank robbers often by the money trail. So.
Yeah.
White collar crime, et cetera. So it's kind of interesting that you can literally do anything. Then my eyesight was too bad, so I couldn't be an FBI agent, so I had to become a real CPA.
So then the next question we kind of want to address in these frequently asked questions is the who. So who are these CPAs? What does a CPA look like? And first, I think we need to address the stereotype, and that is not true. So you kind of think of the old guy with the eye shades maybe, and sure, there's still some of that around, but CPAs are really, really diverse profession, and it's getting more and more diverse as it needs to reflect business, and the world's getting more and more diverse. So this
we have to watch those old guy comments.
Yeah, sorry. So these are actually members of ours that work all throughout the state of Maryland. And you, there's that mirror in the middle, like that. This can be you as well. There's an example of Don Myers on the Harley there. He's one of those CPAs that kind of married an interest with a career, and he's the CEO of Harley Davidson Baltimore, which is just really cool. Byron too, up there, he loved IT and knew the IT world and is able to help CPA firms kind of in particular, but lots of different companies in outsourced kind of IT and going to the cloud consulting. So really awesome potential and great career for you to get started in.
Anoop Mehta, lower right? He's the CEO of Science Systems Applications, SSAI, a government contractor in the space industry, which is wild. Kelly Jennings, small CFO. Tim Samuel, CFO of a faith-based organization, a church. So it's like there really is great examples right here in Maryland of all the kind of cool things CPAs do to make a living.
Yeah, and Dr. Jan Williams right up there. Some of you students watching might be some of her students, but CPA professor out at University of Baltimore. Another great career path. In fact, a career path that's actually really needed are CPAs going into education and teaching and rising up the next generation of CPAs.
Yep.
So we talked about what it is, why it's important. Well, how can you get involved with it? And because it is a state-regulated license, there is some hoops to jump through a little bit. So we're going to talk through some of that, and this tends to be where we have the most questions from students. So really, we like to say there's 4 E's to becoming a CPA in Maryland, and I'll have to specify this whole presentation is based on becoming a CPA in Maryland. It will vary state to state, so make sure that if you plan on getting licensed in a different state, that you look into what their requirements are. But in Maryland, you need a bachelor's degree, which is typically 120 credit hours, and you need 30 additional credit hours. So that's the education. Part of that bachelor's degree is specific courses that you need to complete. Examination, so there's the Uniform CPA exam. I'll talk a little bit more about that in the future, but it's 4 different tests, hard tests, but certainly passable test were 2 examples of that. So there's the exam. Ethics, there's a specific AICPA course that Maryland requires you to take. It's a self-study course in ethics and kind of goes through the ethical code of conduct for CPAs, and that's a really important tenet of our profession that we need to hold to that high standard. And experience, so 1 year working with a CPA, I think it's 2,000 hours.
Correct.
Or a year working with a CPA that can sign off on your experience.
And by the way, that can start your junior year in college. So if you have internship requirements, which many programs do today, you want to start getting people to sign those hours off, so that by the time you graduate, you probably have 2,000 hours, and then you're moving right into the profession.
Yeah,
so
and get them to sign it then instead of
Correct.
years later trying to find those people.
Track them down.
Definitely important. So we're going to move into our frequently asked questions part, and we'll kind of wait to see if we have any questions from you guys as well as we go through. But these are just some of the questions that, as Tom and I talk with students all across the state and really the world, as we kind of talk to students from all over the place, the questions we get from you guys.
And by the way, you guys can pop questions into Facebook if you want, so that we can see what they are, and we'll answer them as we go through this as well.
Yeah,
So.
please feel free to pop in anytime. So do you have to have a degree in accounting? Actually, no, you don't have to have a degree in accounting. You do have to have a bachelor's degree, and there's certain course requirements, again, that you have to fulfill, but your degree really could be in any subject. So once you fulfill there's a number, a good number of accounting courses that you have to fulfill. So you might end up wanting to just get the whole accounting degree, but that is not a specific requirement to have your degree in accounting.
And while we're at that, Becca, a couple of things we hear from students oftentimes is like, well, what do you think I should add to my extra 30 credits, or what other degrees are going? What I'm seeing a lot of is certainly technology and accounting is a huge one. I mean,
Definitely.
that's like major in demand right now, and certainly a big effort that lots of accounting corporations as well as firms are moving into. Also finance and accounting goes well if you're looking at moving into a larger corporate environment or a consulting environment. Economics, marketing, all those kind of things are really good to round out the degree. Some programs have masters in accounting, and I would say if you're going to go deep and you're really interested in like a deep specialization in maybe tax, masters of tax, or auditing even, that's when those programs make more sense. So lots of options, but I would say try to leverage yourself with some of those programs, or a lot of times there's an MBA for the 5th year. Programs are doing that. So those are great ways of like rounding out your education, because what we find is that the accounting degree is a great initial step, but you need some of that bigger stuff as you get down the road.
Definitely, and that kind of goes right into our next question is, do you have to have a master's degree?
No.
And the answer is no, but it's a great way to get those extra 30 credit hours. And those extra 30 credits, once you have fulfilled those course requirements and bachelor's degree, really in the state of Maryland can be in anything. So I mentioned before, I have a sports management degree, or I was a dual major in college of sports management and accounting. And so that's how I got my extra 30 credit hours, through summer classes and just kind of taking heavier course loads throughout my 4 years. But they just need to appear, those credits, extra 30 credits need to appear on the transcript of an official accredited university. So if you were to take those CLEPT exams, I know some decide to do that, which is like testing out of a subject, or if you have AP courses from high school that transfer over to your transcript for college, all of that will count. And those master's courses actually count, I think, 1.5 credits when you translate it. So less courses you would have to take, but once you're taking them, sometimes it's like, might as well just go through and complete the master's degree.
And some of that can be done online. Many times
Definitely.
employers will help sponsor or pay for that. So lots of flexibility there, I think, and you just need to go and ask those kind of questions and see if you can get some help supporting you through that.
Yeah, definitely ask about employer support, because I know some people want to just get it all done with, and that's a great option, but I know some people can't financially do that. So if they start working without their CPA and have their employer support those extra credit hours and the exam, that's a great way to do that. So this is a question we get a lot as well for international students, students that might come over and have some credits or maybe even a degree from a foreign university. And so they're asking, will these credits count? So I already have my degree in accounting from somewhere else. And the definitive answer is maybe, really. NASBA, the National Association of State Boards of Accountancy, is kind of the association for all these different state boards across the country, the regulators. So your license is through the State Board of Accountancy and individual states through the Department of Labor in each state. So NASBA has their International Evaluation Service. For Maryland, for international students, you have to go through that International Evaluation Service to get your credits approved. So definitely check that out if you're an international student interested in becoming a CPA in Maryland. That's the first place to start, really.
And that's like the gold standard to get. Basically the State Board of Maryland will then say, okay, if you have that certificate, we'll accept that degree and this many credits, and then you're on your way. So
yes. So the next E is probably one of the most talked about E's, is the exam. And so I'm going to talk through kind of the different components of the exam. The exam really is 4 exams. So it's regulation, or commonly referred to as reg, FAR, which is financial accounting and reporting, audit, which kind of speaks for itself, and BEC, which is business and economic concepts. I also like to call BEC kind of the everything else we think you should know but don't know where else to put it exam. It's kind of a hodgepodge of everything between IT kind of stuff, IT control stuff, to I think they put the code of conduct stuff now in there. Yeah. So it is a assortment of things. So we actually, AICPA announced just last week, I think, the changes that will take place for the exam in 2017. So I have here how the exam is currently in black, and then in those green parentheses is what the exam will be, how it will be changing coming up. Basically, a little background on why the exam is changing. The AICPA and NASBA and the different state boards always reevaluate the exam, making sure that the content that they're testing is what really is what a CPA needs to know going into their career. And in the last, they started, I think, maybe even 2012, kind of gathering what that might be as the future changes and business gets more complex. And technology certainly is a huge component of that in the last several years in business. And so what they found is that with technology automating a lot of the beginning kind of entry-level work, there was a need for CPAs to go into their career with some higher order skills that normally wouldn't come till several years later in their career, and kind of they would pick up on the job. So they've added those into the exam. Different things like professional skepticism and more problem-solving skills and more simulations. So I'll talk through these, and you can see that kind of reflected in how they're changing the exam. So regulation right now currently is 3 hours long. These are all computer-based tests, separate tests, but it's 3 hours. With the new exam that will go out in April 2017, it will be actually 4 hours. Currently, there's 72 multiple choice questions. With the new exam, there'll be 70 to 75 multiple choice questions. And currently, there's 6 simulations, which are task-based simulations. So kind of like a problem solving. You're given a situation, you read about a certain company, maybe you get their financial statements, and then you're asked to do something. Maybe it's this company is merging with this company, create the combined financial statements. Different task-based problem-solving kind of skills. So there used to be just 6, or currently there's 6 task-based simulations. On the new exam, there's going to be 8 to 9, so that's increasing. FAR, financial accounting and reporting, is 4 hours now, and it's going to remain 4 hours. It has 90 multiple choice questions now. That's going to kind of decrease to 60 to 65 in order to make room for those 8 to 9 simulations in 2017. Right now, there's only 7. Audit. Again, another 4-hour exam that was already pretty heavy on the simulations. They're adding 1 to 2 more simulations and then reducing those multiple choice again, like FAR. And then BEC, those business economic concepts, that is increasing to 4 hours. It is decreasing the multiple choice a little bit. They're adding in simulations. There was never simulations before. Currently, there's not simulations in the BEC exam. There will be 4 to 5, and then these 3. There's also 3 written tasks in the BEC section that test your writing ability. You write a memo or maybe a report of some kind on a situation.
So overall, you can see that the movement toward more simulation, which it gets to this idea of strategic thinking, communication, all those pieces that we're finding are more and more in need of when you enter this profession. So it is going to be important, if you think this is like you're going to come out and just crank numbers, actually computers are going to be doing most of the cranking. You're going to be doing more about analyzing and explaining numbers to people that may not understand them, whether it be a client or an internal team inside a company or a firm. So pay attention to those other courses, if you will, that are not just in the accounting major as you go through school, because those are going to be really, really important.
Definitely, yeah. Sometimes we get the stereotype that accountants are just number crunchers, and certainly there's a component of that, but it's really about being able to translate and communicate the numbers to people that may not have that understanding that you do. So communication is just such a huge skill that's really important in the profession. So some more frequently asked questions specifically at the exam. We get a lot about review courses. Should you get one? I definitely say yes. I know that's a big reason why I passed the exam. So a lot of the concepts that they're testing, yes, you probably learned in college at some point, but there's some that maybe you just forgot. I know in cramming for a test, you hours after passing that test or doing it, you probably forgot half of it sometimes. So you either forgot or some things are just not taught. So for instance, I know in my degree, I had 1 tax class actually. And then you go to take the regulation exam and it's going to be 4 hours of tax and business law stuff. So definitely choose a review course. I would recommend highly.
Yeah, I would say the other thing is you have to mentally prepare yourself, because it is a big test, it's a long test. And if you're not a good test taker, you're going to want to do extra prep to be ready to deal with the testing environment and all those kind of things. So make sure you take that part seriously, because I think that will increase the odds that you're successful earlier on, and that's what we hope, get you in there, get in our profession quicker.
Definitely. And those review courses, I think all of them, I haven't seen one that doesn't have practice problems or full practice tests. And even I know through the AICPA free on their website, there are practice questions and practice tests. So you can kind of get a feel of the environment of what the test looks like. It is all computer-based and the different tabs and things like that, and how just knowing that going in, I think is huge. So definitely I recommend a review course. Which one is really up to you. We don't really recommend a particular one. They all are great in different ways, and they really all cover the majority of the same things, right? They're all reviewing the same materials for the test. But there's a couple things I hope that you would consider when you're looking at your review course and which one you should pick. Really, how do you learn best? So for some people, that is in a classroom. Some people need that dedicated time with a live instructor, and some people work better independently. So there are review courses that cater to both of those learning styles, and even the kind of in-between of the, web-based but live kind of content as well. Is there one that your employer helps pay for? If there is, that's an easy answer, right? To really cost save there, and then maybe your other colleagues in at work with you are taking that review course as well, and then you can help each other. That camaraderie of taking the exam, I think, is a key part to at the very least, commiserate together, and then have somebody that understands that, maybe I can't go out Friday night because I need to study, or maybe my schedule is going to be a little crazier this next week because of something.
Yeah.
So having, if there's a group that are studying one course, then I would recommend kind of doing that same one so that you can get together with them and do review problems together and things like that and help each other. And then what's your timeline? Some have real fast pass kind of things where if you want to knock it out in a summer, more power to you, and they have that available. Some are more at your leisure and pace. And then what's your budget? They range in prices, I think up to $3,000 or $4,000 now actually. But figuring all that out and choosing the review course that you are going to use, I think is all important things to consider. So how long do you have to pass the exam? So really, a passing grade is a 75 or better. And believe me, no one will ever ask you what you got on the exam. They'll just make sure that you passed. And so in my mind, getting that 75 is actually probably the best score because it means you didn't waste any time studying too hard. But so a passing grade is 75 or better. And once you get that on one of the 4 exams, you need to pass with that 75 or better the remaining 3 sections in the next 18 months. Or that past exam, that first one, is going to expire. And then, if time keeps on going, you might lose the second one. So it's really important to be diligent when you start and really have a timeline, know what you're doing, have a plan together.
Yeah.
I don't know that there's one test that you should take first necessarily. I think it's all based on you. So if there was a class that you really excelled in and you think you should leave that to the end just, because you won't have to work as hard for that one, then maybe that's for you. I did mine, based on my schedule. So I was in public accounting. I was pretty light in the fall, but really busy in the winter. And then because of the different clients I had, I was really busy in the summer. So I used the winter and the summer to take those exams that might be harder for me, with the spring and the fall taking those exams that might not be as hard for me personally. So really think through what your schedule will be. And I know, Tom, you had to take it all in one day, so you didn't have that option. And then when can you take the exam? So right now there's 4 kind of testing window chunks throughout the year, and 4 blackout months where there's not testing available. I know I have a little star there because with the changes in 2017, that's going to be reduced a little bit. I believe it's going to go down to just 2-week blackout periods.
Right.
But the exam can really be taken at any time during these. The exams are taken at a testing site, a Prometric testing site, and you can take really any of the exams that you choose during that testing period. But right now, you cannot take the same exam twice in a testing window. So you can't go take FAR, find out you failed a couple weeks later and take it again right away. You do have that kind of period where you have to wait to the next testing window. So keep that in mind when you're planning out your schedule, definitely.
The other key thing to remember about your 75 is that nobody ever asks you for the grades you got on your CPA exam. So once you pass it, you pass it. You're a CPA, whether you got 100 or a 75. So,
unless you're going for that CELS award, which is awesome, and more power to them. That's
and we just had
amazing.
a Maryland CELS winner this time.
That we did.
Yes,
wow.
just got announced. Yeah,
that's great. So I think last year we had 3. Maybe it's a quite an impressive award to be awarded that CELS, those top scores on the CPA exam.
I wasn't anywhere near it.
Me either. So the ethics part, so some people have asked, I've taken my ethics course in college. In fact, that's one of the...
you have to.
That's one of the requirements of the course requirements that you have for the education part. But that does not actually count for the ethics part for the Maryland license. There's a specific course through the AICPA. AICPA is Professional Ethics. The AICPA's Comprehensive Course is what it's called. And you do have to take that self-study course. I believe there's an online version and a print version that you take, and so it is a specific separate test. And then experience, right? The last E of the 4 E's for becoming a CPA in Maryland. So Tom talked about this a little bit, but yes, your internship can count, and all that experience from, I guess, your junior forward would count. So the experience just has to be within the 3 prior years to your application. So whenever you apply to be licensed, it has to be in the last 3 years. So make sure that you're watching that window.
Yeah, the other thing that we get a lot of questions about is like, do you have to work for a CPA firm? And the answer is no. And you have to have a CPA sign off on it, but it doesn't mean you have to work directly for a CPA. Correct. So, for instance, we've had folks who work, say, at a nonprofit volunteering in the summer in their accounting department, but they didn't have a CPA, as a controller on chart, but they did have auditors. So they could go to the auditor who was checking the work of that nonprofit, and you could ask for one of them if you got to know them and that they would vouch for you. So there are some other ways of doing that. So don't count out just because you're not working as a CPA or in a CPA environment that you can't get that credit. If you're working in any field related to accounting that you're doing for whatever kind of institution, government, nonprofit, business, or CPA firm, that could count, and you just got to find a CPA who would be willing to vouch for you and know what you're doing and be able to say, yeah, they're doing that kind of work.
Yep. So that perfectly answers my next question about who can sign off on your RPE, which is your report of practical experience. And as Tom said, it does not have to be a direct supervisor, just someone that can attest to the work that you've done and your experience in that field.
But get it signed as you go, as you do it. Because, you're right. If you're doing an internship in your junior, senior year, and then in 2 more years, now you're in a full-time, kind of quasi-full-time notion, you'd want that extra experience because it can kickstart you kind of getting that experience done.
Definitely. And, you never know when that CPA that was supervising you or knew of your experience work there leaves, goes somewhere else, and then it's harder to track them down. So definitely get that while you're there. So we kind of talked through everything that we specifically wanted to cover for the frequently asked questions that we get for students looking to become a CPA in the state of Maryland. I just want to pause a second to make sure, do we have any questions online yet?
I don't see any. If you guys have any questions, pop them in, but I'm not seeing any showing up right now.
Okay. So I'm going to start talking through some of the resources we have. So I know we gave you a lot of information, and so here's how the MACPA can help. And actually, Tom, would you mind explaining? I get this sometimes from questions from students. So what is the MACPA? So we're not the licensing body. What is the MACPA? Is it the same as the AICPA who does the test? What is this organization and what does it mean?
So MACPA is a professional association, so it's kind of your community, it's your tribe, if you will, of folks who've gotten licensed in Maryland or live in Maryland or connected to Maryland. We have CPAs that are actually from all over the country that are in our membership. So we were founded in 1900. In fact, just a couple days ago was our 116th birthday. So we're baked on state law. So in 1900, a small group of then accountants who were working in the industrial age were going, we need a discipline around accounting, and they created the license. They advocated, the Maryland General Assembly passed it, and that became a license and state board. And we existed ever since then to basically, we call it connect, protect, and achieve. So connect you as a CPA licensed to our community in Maryland. That's the connect part. Protect, we're down in Annapolis to make sure that license stays, that the legislature doesn't change your license for the bad, and that the license, we make laws to evolve the license. For instance, mobility. Your Maryland license means you can practice pretty much in every state in the nation because of the way collectively we've enacted mobility laws. In Maryland, you've got the lowest license rate in the country, bar none. So if you get your license in the state of Maryland, it's going to be the cheapest. We have some of the most flexible infrastructure for you to practice as a CPA because of our advocacy efforts in Annapolis. So for instance, you could take all your CPE electronically. We don't have crazy requirements about your CPE that would make you have to take this many of this and that many of that and all that. Basically, take your CPE that you think you need based on the type of way you earn a living.
Yep.
And that's all. So those kind of flexibilities are what we do as your association. And then Achieve. We believe that Maryland CPAs, Maryland Association of CPAs, are better than the average CPA. And in fact, we could prove that by some of the members that we see. But the fact is, we do a whole lot to help you achieve career success. So Rebecca's involved in a whole lot of that, from Student Leadership Academy to what we do with interns to what we do with young professionals. And Maryland has had 3 young professionals become the chair of our association. And most recently, we have 2 bragging points. Our incoming chair, Lisa Sines, was featured on the cover of the Journal of Accountancy last month. And Kimberly Ellison-Taylor, one of our young professionals, is now going to be the first African-American chair of the American Institute of CPAs in October, and she was past chair of ours. So those are examples of CPAs who've achieved some cool career success by virtue of association. I think we had a little thing to do with that.
Yeah.
So Connect, Protect, Achieve, that's what we do.
That's what we do. So we're not an accounting firm. We don't hire CPAs, although we hire a couple of them. But we protect and help CPAs achieve and promote the profession. That's our job. I like to say I work for the CPA profession, not in the CPA profession necessarily, in what I do every day. So these are some of our resources because we have a vested interest in producing and developing the future CPAs in Maryland. So this is our resources for you guys. A great place to start, just if you go to students.macpa.org, you can see all this information. But one of the things we have is a free student membership. We think it's important for you to get involved with us right away, to get connected to our organization and connected to CPAs and mentors and things like that. So we offer a free student membership. Great thing to put on your resume, easy form to fill out. Right now it's at macpa.org/tcpa. The next month or 2 we're going to be debuting a new website, which I'm really excited about. That will probably be even easier to join as a student member. Student conference discounts. So part of that Achieve is we do, hundreds of learning events throughout the year for our members, and probably about maybe 12 of those are conference type things where 100 or more CPAs getting together to learn different content around a specific discipline. So we have our government not-for-profit conference coming up. We have a conference in forensics. We have a conference for tax. We have our annual summit, which is kind of a leadership conference and has like a technology kind of component about the future of the profession. So students are welcome to come to any of our conferences, any of our learning events really, and specifically our conferences at a reduced rate. We understand that you're students, and so we ask for just $30 that kind of covers some of the site cost and your meal while you're there. It's normally a full 8-hour kind of day, and we'd love to have you join us. Right now, if you just email support@macpa.org after checking out our conferences and upcoming events, we'd be happy to get you registered for one of those. It's a great way to get involved and connected in a specific discipline of accounting that you want to get started in, because you're really going to go hang out with all the people that are doing the job and all the people that could hire you to work for them. So great opportunity to learn, see what's going on in the profession, and connect with mentors. This is our CPA guide. What we got feedback on is that the state board's website was sometimes confusing about what they needed to become a CPA and the forms and the different rules. So we created this. We had our design team really just make it awesome. And it's the guide to becoming a CPA in Maryland. Pretty simple, kind of step-by-step, walks you through everything you need. And so that's at cpaguide.macpa.org. We also have some printed versions of those, so if you see that floating around your college campus, that's what that is. But really, it says, here's everything you need to know to get there, and that's completely true. It really is comprehensive in becoming a CPA in Maryland again.
So the report on practical experience and all those kind of things are there, and helpful links that they can go to.
Yep, real direct links. So once you go to actually apply, you do have to do that through the state board. But what we've done is say, do this checklist, make sure you have all this stuff. Okay, you're ready to go to the next step, which is this direct link to right to where that report of practical work experience is. Download it, really step by step. And then the other thing is, we're your advocate at the state board too. So if you have questions, if you're running into roadblocks, or you trying to figure out something, give us a call. We're going to have our contact information at the end of the presentation. We really are here to help students achieve and become a part of this great profession. So please let us know how we can help you. This is the really coolest thing, I think, that we do for students, and we just started it last year. And it kind of was born from our Leadership Academy, which through our Business Learning Institute we created, and we actually run for the AICPA's Leadership Academy each year and have it for our young professionals in Maryland. But I just saw some of the content that is taught in this Leadership Academy as being so valuable for students even early in their careers, when they're not even really there in their career yet, starting out, and how important it is. So we created the Student Leadership Academy last year, was our first year. We had 25 students from 13 different colleges across the state, which was really awesome, really, really diverse, awesome students. Come and really learn not those technical things that they're learning in school, because the professors are doing an awesome job preparing you for that side of the profession, but some of those softer, or we like to call success skills, that you need going into the profession. Some things like strengths and values, like what are your personal strengths and values? How does that fit into the profession? Where can you really shine and work on those strengths and values? And then things like communication, leadership, collaboration, really big skill needed right now. And so this is where we're teaching those students that.
Yeah, what a great group, it was fun.
It's a lot of fun. We're getting ready to do it again, June 2nd through the 4th. I have a short little video I'm going to show here, kind of gives the overview of the program and why we did it, really, and how important it is for the future of our profession. And so we'd love to have you apply. It's a week out. April 22nd is the application deadline. It is an application process. You fill out kind of why you're interested in being there. You get a professor recommendation. Send us your transcript, an unofficial transcript, and your resume. And we'd love to have you join us. So I'm going to start this video now so you can get an overview of what the program's really like.
There's a severe talent shortage coming in our profession right now. It's showing up more and more. As we've looked around the profession, we found out that entry-level people in the profession need new skills that they aren't getting in college.
We're receiving insight from different aspects of the accounting world, different from what we learn in the school.
In the classroom, there's a lot more technical learning versus here, there's a lot more collaborative thinking and working with the team around you.
Accounting is something that I love, it's a passion, so I know that I have to do what I need to do in order to be successful in that field.
I think everyone here is unique from their peers just because we took the initiative to apply and take the time to come out for these 3 days.
This is really an elite group of students coming out of college, and they are excellent candidates for both firms and businesses.
They definitely seem dedicated to accounting, and I think they'll do well.
It really is important to engage and attract the next generation of CPAs. These are going to be the future CPAs that work with your clients, that are taking over your firms or your organizations, and we want them to be prepared and set up for real success in the profession.
Regardless of what firm a student goes to work for, the MACPA is bringing them all together as part of a community. But what the MACPA is doing to train them now is going to benefit firms for years to come.
We think we've recruited the best of the best. These students are all hungry to be successful in their careers. It makes me feel cool that the future of our profession actually is quite bright.
They really are the next generation of CPAs. So that's our Student Leadership Academy. We'd really love to have you join us. If you know of any students, if you're not a student yourself, but know of someone that might benefit from that, please let us know and have them apply. Again, it's macpa.org/student academy, and that has the whole application online where you upload your professional recommendation and things like that, and we'd really love to have you join us. If you're an employer or someone that's a supporter of the profession that wants to be there and be involved in giving back to the profession and developing future CPAs, or interested in maybe hiring some of these really awesome students, because they are the cream of the crop based on their resumes and transcripts and things, we'd invite you to partner with us on that. And we have a sponsorship for the Student Leadership Academy to kind of help cover some of those costs. And because it is free to students, by the way. It's 2.5 days. We held it at Towson University last year. We're going to do that again. Students stay in the dorms, have meals, all free. We went to an Orioles game last year. We'll probably do something similar this year. Really fun, engaging event. You'll see from the video that it isn't a classroom style kind of learning experience. It really is a fun, engaging experience. And I so enjoyed getting to know those students last year and love still hearing from them to this day. So if you're interested in getting involved, either participating and being a student at it, or being a partner that could come be on a panel for us, or just network with the students, you can also find that information at macpa.org/studentacademy.
Coming in our profession right now.
So I'm just going to end with this slide to see if we have any questions that we can answer for you guys. This is our contact information. Again, I'm Rebecca Brown, the membership manager. I am a CPA Maryland, and Tom, our CEO, also a CPA Maryland, so has been through that process, knows it very well, can answer your questions. I also put our Twitter handles there. We're both pretty avid Twitter users, so if you have any questions on Twitter, definitely follow us, ask us. SlideShare, awesome tool to use for presentations. So this presentation will be up there shortly, as well as Tom does, hundreds of presentations throughout the year that he puts up there to groups all across the U.S. And even Canada sometimes, right? So if you're ever interested in kind of what the profession's doing or talking about globally, that's a great place to go. And then link in with us. Definitely another important connection point. Tom's a LinkedIn influencer, so he gets asked by LinkedIn pretty regularly to write different posts for LinkedIn. So I have my email there. I also have support@macpa.org. That's my team's email, so if you email us, somebody will get back to you, whether it's me or my colleagues. Check one more time for questions, but it doesn't look like we have any. So thank you so much for tuning in. And again, this will be recorded and hopefully up on our YouTube channel soon. Thanks so much.
We hope to see you in the profession soon.
Yep.
Thank you. Have a great weekend.
Thanks.